Live. Hey, good morning. Good morning, everyone. I was like hovering over the button because technically it just turned 7:30 and I was going to go live, and I was chatting with Brandon, and hey, sure enough, I actually tapped the button. We're live a little sooner than I thought, which makes us actually on time. So good morning. My name is Sean. I'm a police constable with the Toronto Police Service. I work at traffic safety programs here at TSV. I'm joined by my partner, and his name is Brandon. Brandon, what's going on?
Not too much, Sean. Thanks for joining us this morning. Looking forward to bringing in the content. We have three things to talk about today. We're going to go over impaired operation versus distracted driving. Which is it? We have a little video for you guys to see today, and maybe you can guess in the comments. We'll move into some dash cam information, how useful it can be for investigations, particularly when it comes to collisions. And finally, we'll move into a little bit about Motorcycle Awareness Month, particularly the licensing available to people.
Cool. Yeah. So we got some footage that was sent to us, and let's just play it because it's actually really cool, and we can discuss it after. So Brandon, I'll pull up. Oh wait, hang on one sec. We're gonna if you want to rewind that to the beginning, I'm gonna share your screen. Here we go. So here's some dash cam footage, and there's a vehicle. Obviously, you see this vehicle. It's right in the left lane, the left line, I should say. But watch what it does. It's stalled for me. I don't know if it's okay.
There we go.
There you go. We're playing now. It's going off of YouTube, so here we go. So there we go, right over into the shoulder or the bus lane. So that's not good. Now, this to me as an officer, if I was driving behind them, would be a clear indicator that something's going on. Right? There's obviously either impairment or distracted driving. So what do you think this is? And of course, if you're watching us and you want to interact live, you can throw it in the question box. We'll actually get your opinion up on the screen because we can do that. Do you want to hit it again and watch it one more time?
Let's go.
I think in case you missed it. So hugging the left side all the way to the middle. These are classic signs of impairment. In terms of they're not tracking. Oh, hey, impaired. We got a vote here from MC that it's an impaired driver. But there's other things that it could be, and it could be someone who's that could have the instant response of watching this car almost go off, and you assume it's going into the side. So anyway, is it impaired? I certainly would think so. That would be a reason to pull someone over. And in this case, the vehicle that's recording actually called police. They called the OPP because they were crossing onto the 404, and they followed that vehicle at a distance for some time. And the OPP eventually handed it off to York Regional Police because the person got off in that jurisdiction and pulled into a parking lot and parked and sat there with their head down, according to the notes. And they just sat there for like 10 minutes until police arrived. And the officers, based on the information they were provided by the caller, spoke to the driver, who seemed a little out of it, and they made a demand for a roadside test. And they weren't impaired, but they were really focused on their cell phone, and they apparently were really tired and may have fallen asleep at the wheel. So that's a really scary example, but it's a really good example of how much focus you need to drive versus how much focus is taken away from your driving while you're focused on a little device texting, or and we don't know what that driver was doing, and we don't know for certain because it's based on third-hand or second-hand information in a document or notes, I should say. But at the end of the day, that could have resulted in a collision, in damage, and potentially injury. So we're glad nothing serious came out of it. But what a great example of how distracted driving is, and what it looks like to other people. I'm sure that driver, aside from almost having to correct their course and get back in the lane, I probably didn't think it was that serious at the time. I doubt they went, "Oh my God, I should pull over and maybe not do what I'm doing," because they continued to do it. So enough on that. That's my story. But it actually leads me to that other topic of dash cams.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the person who recorded this, thankfully, they did give it over to police, and they were recording it like maybe lunch. It looked like it was lunch hour, busy time of day, but he is on the highway at the time, and having the access to the dash cam, say that guy had gotten into a collision, most of those drivers are going to drive away. Unfortunately, it is the sad truth. Most other drivers will drive away. That leaves you and potentially the other driver as the only two witnesses. And then it's a he said, she said. So if you have that dash cam, it's going to keep you safe and it's going to keep the information correct.
It's your best source of information. We often talk about that, having your best source. And I can give a statement, but it's always just a statement. It doesn't mean it's true or correct. It's simply my version of the events. The other driver, if this turned into a multi-vehicle collision, a two motor vehicle collision, where it's my word against you, as one participating driver against another. Well, there's a disputed and without anything that can be seen as a neutral third party, whether it be a witness or a video, there's nothing to make one story more accurate than the other, except for physical evidence, which doesn't always, it's not always conclusive. It could be something where we say, okay, it's going to be 50-50 fault, or no fault, no charges. When it's something like this, where that car may have struck another, or it could provide that vital piece of information to either exonerate you, or if it's in your car, or accurately paint a picture for the investigating officer as to what happened. And that's what you want. I wave to them too, whoever that is. But yeah, if anything that happens, whether it's on the highway, on a side street, if someone says you ran a red light and that's why you hit me, when really you were on the green and they ran the red, it's that neutral third party, and it's so much more useful than simply statements. I mean, statements are great, and you got nothing else, you go with them. But if you were to have a dash cam, I think that is giving you a tremendous amount of benefit in the event of something. And going back, I had a collision in my personal vehicle a few years ago, and I had a dash cam. But you know what? It was sitting in the box. I hadn't installed it. It got installed right after the month it took to get my car back. But I installed that. I don't have a vehicle that I will always have a dash cam on my personal vehicles for that very reason.
I think just to add a quick note to that. I did just come from the road. I did just come from the investigative side, actually. After I did my time on the road, I did some time on the road, and yeah, Sean's absolutely correct. Number of collisions we've gone to where unfortunately it's a he said, she said situation. We can't do a lot sometimes, and that is unfortunate. And then on the converse side, the number of collisions we've gone to where it's been he said, she said, but then one party is able to produce the video, and the whole thing is just alleviated immediately. Yeah. And then the amount of stress that takes off of a driver. I've been in a collision. I know what it's like to go through the process and be unsure about, what insurance is going to say. It alleviates so much of that pressure. Mm-hmm. It's worth the investment. How much is a dash cam these days? How much was yours, Sean?
I don't remember. I got a pretty good one. I don't remember how much it cost, but it's paid dividends, because I know just in that sense of calm, or knowing that if something should happen, at least I have a neutral third party, that best piece of evidence for me. So, I mean, there's cheap ones, there's expensive ones. They have Wi-Fi. There's all sorts of different features, but just to have something, it doesn't have to be fancy. It just has to work. And you can have front camera, back camera. I mean, whatever works. I remember a funny story. We were doing an investigation for an unfortunate situation where someone was struck, and we were called. I was in the CIB at the time. We were called about a commercial vehicle that had a dash camera, and it had caught this pedestrian being struck. So I went to their location and I was reviewing the video. And what the driver didn't realize is that it was a dual camera, and one camera was pointed at him while he was driving. And even though he wasn't involved in a collision, he was continuously doing this. And he was pulling up his personal cell phone and checking it while driving a big truck. So, yeah. There was a long discussion with his boss and him later, but that aside, it was very helpful. It did have collision investigation or evidence that helped our investigation. So enough on that. What did you want to go to next? I think we hammered home everything about that first video and dash cams.
Yep. Okay. So we'll cover the last topic for the day, and then we're going to let you guys go. We're going to see us live on TikTok shortly afterwards for anyone who wants to see us over there. A lot of great content coming from us, a lot of excellent questions coming from our followers and from the public in general. Last topic is. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, before we jump into that, we have. We've got, if you're not following us on Twitter, if you happen to be watching this on YouTube, you can follow us on Twitter. We do all sorts of updates and safety links throughout the day. Most importantly, we're streaming here on Twitter as well as YouTube. So traffic services, we announce every day where our Vision Zero enforcement team is going to be. That's a Twitter thing. Then we have Instagram for other types of photos and content. If you're an Instagram person, you can get us at Traffic Services Toronto. And just as Brandon had said, once we finish here, 8 o'clock rolls around and we will go live on TikTok at Traffic Services. And that's where we do a live interactive question and answer period. A little different format than here where it's we tend to have fewer people in the live here, but we have, what was it? We had 350 people in a live chat yesterday for an hour, and it was awesome. Great energy, lots of fantastic questions, a lot of folks answering things that you may think are sort of basic knowledge, but if you don't have someone to ask, you don't have access to a police officer to easily get it. This is the best place to go. So we've got a fantastic action-packed hour scheduled from 8 till 9. So if you are not on TikTok, get on TikTok. Come join us there. It's a lot of fun. And back to you.
Okay. All right. So the last topic of the day, in the vein of Motorcycle Awareness Month, if you've been watching us here, or even if you've seen us over on TikTok, we have been talking a lot about motorcycles. We're getting a lot of questions about motorcycles. It's the time of year, right? Makes sense. So one of the factors that we're going to talk about today is motorcycle licensing. That's the graduated licensing from M1 to M2. And Sean knows quite a bit about that, as he is quite an experienced rider.
I started riding where I didn't go through graduated licensing. I'm old, so I had my M, or my 70-day learner's permit, and I was riding as an M, I think a month later. But so not to rub it in anyone's face that has to go through the graduated program, but now what you do is you get an M1, and that allows you to ride a motorcycle from half an hour before to half an hour after sunrise and sunset. You can't take any passengers. You can't go on any highways with a speed limit over 80, and of course you have to have a zero blood alcohol content while you're operating that vehicle. But it's very different than learning how to drive a car, in that there's no one with you. So I understand that right now you can't get a course, but at your first opportunity, get a course and get trained, and that will help you for your M2 test, so that you could then drive alone and drive on highways. But there still remains a zero blood alcohol content. And really, it doesn't matter if there is a zero blood alcohol content restriction on your driver's license or not. You should not be operating a motor vehicle with any alcohol in your system. And especially not on a motorcycle where you're not in a cage, you're not protected, and little maneuvers, especially when you are new to it, could be very bad. No good. And finally, of course, there's an M2 exit process where you can get your full M, and that's the in a nutshell the licensing process. But and once you get your and I may have mentioned already, but with an M2 you can take passengers. So we've got a lot of questions, both relating to learner's permits or graduated licensing for cars and motorcycles. If a G2 or an M2 is the same essentially as a full license, why bother? Why should I go and get my G or my M? I can just keep going on my 2. Right. Brandon, what's the number one reason to graduate?
From sorry, are we talking about from G class?
G or M. If you go for a G2 or an M2, the best reason to graduate to a full license versus staying as a learner.
Oh man, you're testing my knowledge today. You got me stumped.
It expires. The big thing is it expires. Once you get to the end, you have to reset to the start all over again. So, if someone was saying, "Well, I've got all the privileges except for the alcohol, why bother going through that stressful test?" Well, if you don't do it, you have to revert back to a 1 status and start the whole process over. So, it wasn't a right or wrong question. It's like that's just my thing. I guess if you really wanted to and you liked being a learner, you could continuously go through the program. Anyway, enough on that. Yeah, I hope that answers it for you, Brandon, in terms of the doing a little back jog and how M1 M2 works. But if you have other questions, we can deeper dive into it. But you let me know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Just like the public, just like the people who come into our TikToks, I get to learn a little bit every day as well, just like you guys.
Hey, I found out, and it was something I didn't know because again, not having the experience of having gone through graduate myself, but I didn't know that when you got your G1 and when you had to wait a year after getting your G1 to get your G2, and that it accelerates to 8 months if you have a course, and the input was from people in the room who've gone through the process. It's not near and dear to me. I've never done it. So we're all learning here all the time, and things are always changing too. So we're constantly learning. It's one of the joys of doing what we do. Constant training forever and always.
All right. Speaking of doing what we do, guys, we're probably going to wrap it up there real soon. And like Sean was saying, we're going to be over on TikTok doing an hour. Usually it's an hour. It's about an hour long with people in the room. Like Sean was saying, we had 350 people regularly cycling through the room yesterday. So there's a lot of content over there. So we often go an hour and a half because Sean, you just can't stop.
I have a problem. I talk too much, which actually works really well for this format. In the event that you can't make it to our live, if you're watching this in the restream or replay, and you have questions for us, and you're a TikToker, by all means, go into our page. It's at Traffic Services. You can drop a question in the Q&A section, and that allows us to come back at a later date and record a video response to your question. Additionally, you can DM us there. You can comment here, but it has been the TikTok experience has been fantastic. You know what? Let's do a little live update here. We yesterday hit 47,000 followers. 47,000 followers. I just want to say that again. 47,000. We're at 47,500 right now. Yesterday we were celebrating 45,000. And I said on our live there that if we hit 50,000 this morning, I'm doing a little giveaway. So whenever we hit 50,000, I got some stuff I'm going to send to some folks who are in our stream. Anyway, with that, thank you so much for joining us or watching in the replay. It's been a pleasure as always is, and we'll catch you tomorrow morning when we do this again.
That's right. Have a great day, guys. Thanks for coming.
Take care. All the best.